last time on the 12 incarnations of the Master, which I want to reassert the disclaimer: this is pure speculation. I am in no way stating a fact. This is just what I think the 12 incarnations, first 12 incarnations of the Master were before Roger Delgado took on the role. So far I've listed number 1, Donald Trump, 2, Osama bin Laden, 3, Christopher Columbus, 4, Robert E. Lee, and 5, Richard Nixon. And yes, in what was it? The Day of the Moon, I think, and that other story, I can't remember the name of it, where the Master had met the Doctor in his 12th incarnation of Matt Smith. But of course, I'm not sure if Matt knew that Nixon was the Master. But the Master actually did a lot of damage in this incarnate form too. And I believe he died at some point in the 90s, or at least he regenerated at some point in the 90s. Got into the time machine, went back in time again, probably to some point prior to the 1960s, as his 6th incarnate form, Ronald Reagan, who ran as governor of California because, you know, the Master at that time actually had this fascination with American politics. He was like, Americans have a really corrupt political system. The Master just couldn't resist. He couldn't help it. He was like, gotta do it, gotta go for it. It was, in speculation, my opinion, Ronald Reagan. Yeah. So Reagan, as Reagan, you know, the Master did a lot of things, including almost entirely destroy our middle class and take us to war with Libya and end the Fairness Doctrine, which resulted in the creation of Fox News. Thank you, Master, for your terrible work as an evil Time Lord. And then at some point in 2004, he regenerated into his 7th incarnate form, went back in time again to some point in the, I'm thinking it's the 16th, late 16th century, as Napoleon Bonaparte. This time, he focused on becoming the Emperor of France. And he did a lot of damage in this regeneration too. And the people of France rightly rejected the Master and fought against him. And actually exiled him to, I believe, Elba Island. The Master really didn't like being in exile, but he was accustomed to being rejected. Especially after spending time as Trump, bin Laden, Columbus, Lee, Nixon, and Reagan. So he eventually escapes from that island and tries to take power again. This time, the people of France defeat him again, second time. And then the Master regenerates into his 8th incarnate form. Travels forward in time this time. This time to Germany, to live as one of the most evil men in the world, Adolf Hitler. The Master, allied with an American businessman in order to gain power in Germany. And he used his mind to lead his Nazi troops to take over France. But Allied forces united against the master and then defeated him near the end of the Second World War in 1945, where, of course, the master, in prison, supposedly had shot himself. But being shot caused him to regenerate an 8th time into his 9th incarnate form, which he took a TARDIS, went back in time again, as Genghis Khan, his 9th incarnate form. As Genghis Khan, he conquered a lot of territory in China. But unfortunately for him, as far as he was concerned, he couldn't hold on to his 9th life. So he regenerated a 9th time into his 10th incarnate form, Charles Manson. This time he went in the TARDIS and went forward in time to live as this sick serial killer, which most likely at some point in the near future, after committing those horrible crimes, he will regenerate an 10th time into his 11th incarnate form, Vladimir Putin. This time he goes back in time a bit, a couple of decades back, several decades back, and attempts to influence history as far as one of his earlier selves is concerned, Donald Trump. Continuing in part 3.